I coughed once during my flight, and they diverted the plane to quarantine me. One cough, a single dry cough that lasted maybe 2 seconds. The flight attendant's head snapped toward me like I'd pulled a fire alarm. She walked over slowly, latex gloves already materializing on her hands from somewhere behind her back. "Sir, are you feeling all right?" Her voice was loud enough for the entire cabin to hear. I told her I was fine, just had some water go down the wrong pipe. She tilted her head and studied my face like I was lying. The man across the aisle was already unbuckling his seatbelt. He stood up and pointed directly at me. I saw him coughing into his hands earlier too. That was a complete lie. I hadn't coughed once before that moment. I hadn't even cleared my throat. But now, every passenger in my section was staring at me like I was patient zero for something biblical. The flight attendant asked me to follow her to the back of the plane. I stood up because I didn't want to make a scene. Didn't want to be the guy who caused problems at cruising altitude. That was my first mistake. The second I moved from my seat, 2 more passengers stood up and demanded to know what was happening. "Possible health concern," the attendant announced. "We're handling it appropriately." They isolated me in the last row. 3 empty seats around me like a quarantine zone at 35,000 feet. The attendant handed me a surgical mask and asked me to put it on immediately. I did, even though I wasn't sick. My throat wasn't scratchy, my nose wasn't running, nothing was wrong with me. Then she pulled out a tablet and started typing rapidly. I asked what she was documenting. "Protocol," she said without looking up. "We have to report any potential health incidents to ground control in real time." I watched her screen as she typed, "Passenger displaying acute respiratory symptoms, refusing to self-identify illness." My stomach dropped. 20 minutes later, the captain's voice crackled through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be making an unscheduled stop in Minneapolis due to a medical situation on board." The entire plane turned around simultaneously to stare at me. We touched down at 3:48 p.m. I watched through the oval window as 2 white CDC response vehicles pulled up alongside our aircraft. Actual hazmat suits emerged from the doors, full protective gear. For one cough, they boarded through the front entrance and made their way down the aisle methodically. Every passenger they passed recoiled into their seats like proximity to me alone might infect them with something deadly. The lead official stopped at my row and held up a digital thermometer. "Sir, I need you to come with us right now." My temperature reading displayed 98.4 degrees, completely normal, didn't matter to anyone. They escorted me off the plane through a jetway tunnel in front of 186 passengers, all of them filming on their phones with flash enabled. I could already see tomorrow's headlines forming in real time. The quarantine holding room at Minneapolis St. Paul International was a converted storage closet with buzzing fluorescent lights, a military cot, and no windows. They drew blood from both arms, swabbed my throat 3 times, asked me repeatedly if I'd traveled internationally within the past 30 days. I hadn't been outside the country in 4 years. They asked if I'd been in close contact with anyone displaying flu-like symptoms recently. I'd been working from home alone for 2 weeks. They asked me to explain the cough again, slowly this time. I told them for the 5th time that I simply choked on bottled water. One of the officials scribbled something on her clipboard, exchanged a look with her colleague, and left the room without acknowledging me further. My phone showed 52 missed calls from my wife. They wouldn't let me return a single one until all testing was complete and verified. That process consumed 6 hours of my life. At 10:22 p.m., the door finally opened and a different official entered carrying a tablet. He was holding my complete test results and something else. "Mr. Holloway, your tests came back entirely negative for all known respiratory pathogens." I told him I could have confirmed that 8 hours ago. He ignored my frustration and continued reading from his screen. "However, we've now identified the actual source of this incident." He rotated the tablet toward me. It displayed a medical report, but the name at the top wasn't mine. It belonged to Daniel Bennett, the man who had accused me of coughing. Mr. Bennett was removed from a connecting flight 3 hours ago after collapsing in the terminal concourse. He tested positive for influenza A with a fever of 102.6. The official paused. "Based on our established timeline, he was actively symptomatic before your original flight even finished boarding." I stared at the medical documentation. The man who pointed at me in front of everyone, who fabricated a story about earlier coughing, who triggered this entire nightmare and ruined my day. He was the one who had been genuinely sick the whole time. He had projected his own guilt onto me, manufactured a scapegoat while he sat there sweating through his dress shirt, probably infecting half the cabin with every shallow breath. The official handed me a release form and told me I was free to leave the facility. No apology from the airline, no compensation for my missed connection or the hours of detention, just a paper voucher for a future flight and printed directions to the nearest airport hotel. I walked out of that terminal at 11 p.m. with nothing but my carry-on and a story that sounded impossible. 3 days later, my wife showed me a viral video of my escort off the aircraft. 2.8 million views and climbing. The comments called me a biohazard, a selfish traveler, a menace to public health. I filed a defamation lawsuit against Daniel Bennett last Friday. His deposition is scheduled for next month, and I plan to cough exactly once when I walk into that courtroom.